Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Favi, and welcome to Arrows DIY. Today I'm going to be showing you 4 different ideas for your coastal home decor. These ideas are inspired by 4 very special women here on YouTube who have helped me on my YouTube journey. These decor pieces are perfect for your beach house or just your home. So let's get started. This is the crown that I will be giving each of the women at the end of their inspiration piece. This collaboration is called Here's Your Crown, and it is hosted by Connie over at Connie's Nails and Creative Creations and Devin over at Freckled Mom. I will leave their links in the description below. For DIY number 1, I was inspired by Bree over at Bree's Arts. I will also leave her link in the description below. For this DIY, you will need white paint from Apple Barrel, baking soda, plastic container, as well as a little scoop to measure your baking soda. So you're going to go ahead and add 3 little scoops of white paint, and you're going to follow that with 1 little scoop of that baking soda. Now this vase here I got at a garage sale around my home, and I'm going to go ahead and use this to recreate my inspiration from Bree. So once you have this chalk mixture made, we're going to go ahead and give this entire vase 2 coats. I like using this paint because it gives a nice texture, kind of like a ceramic finish to this vase. Once that's dry, we're going to go ahead and use this Dollar Tree blue paint. And we're going to add a little bit to that same mixture that was left over. Now I'm using a little tiny bit of this gray paint. This is Sherwin-Williams in the color Cloverdale. A little paint sample I picked up at the hardware store. So we're going to mix that up real good. And I'm trying to make this fancy color called Nantucket Blue by Waverly. So that's what Bree used, but I'm not so fancy, so we're going to make it work. So as you can see, I squished some more blue paint on there, and we're looking for a medium blue. Hers was a lot of a more deep blue, but I just stopped when I liked the color. So just now I squeezed about half of that blue paint and a little drop of that black color by Apple Barrel, and I just mix it all up. Now that Dollar Tree blue paint is very watery, so I did have to add more scoops of that baking soda. So when you're mixing up, make sure you use a stick, because I started using my paintbrush and it got all clumpy. So make sure you use a stick or something else to mix it up. We're trying to achieve a thick consistency for this blue paint. Now, although it looks very thick right now, as you continue mixing, it does thin out. So make sure you mix it very well before you add more baking soda. I used about 3 of those scoops of baking soda. Now, Bree used this duster from the Dollar Tree. Cut little pieces off like that. However, I didn't find one at my Dollar Tree, so I had to substitute it with this mop duster thing. You see what I'm saying? So I cut little pieces off of that mop head thing. I can't remember the word right now. But we're basically just going to cut a handful of that and mix it in with our paint, because we're trying to make a textured paint for the bottom of our vase. Now before we add that blue mixture. I'm letting it set a little bit just to get thicker. So I'm just leaving it alone for a little bit to get a little thicker. While that is happening, we're going to take this other beige paint. That's Sherwin-Williams. The color is called Beach House. And we're just going to distress it a little bit, add some character to this vase. Well, when Bree did it, it was a lot more subtle, but I wanted to go a little heavy-handed on it because I wanted it to resemble the beach. Now this here, as you can see, it's a lot thicker. And we're just going to scoop it up with our paintbrush and apply it, kind of dab it on there. Once the whole vase is, the bottom portion of the vase is covered with this blue paint, we're going to go ahead and just let it dry upside down. And when you do that, the coolest thing happens. It actually, gravity brings down those fibers from the mop head that we added. It brings down those fibers down to the edge of the vase. And it just creates the coolest texture. Now, I wasn't really happy with how it dried, so I went ahead and I added another layer on top. And this time I try to make what resembled waves, kind of like the ripples on waves for my coastal theme here. So I went ahead and I set it down on the side and I let that dry. And that's what it looks like. I love it. Thank you so much, Bree. Here's your crown. Now for DIY number 2. The second lady who's inspiring is Connie over at Connie's Nails and Creative Creations. Now she created this jar for her daughter, for her daughter's water plant, and I like the idea. Now Connie used a nice blue big jar. However, I'm never going to find that jar, so I'm just going to make it myself. At the Dollar Tree, I picked up these 2 jars and this blue paint. So now I'm going to add some Mod Podge to this little yogurt cup and a little tiny drop of that blue paint. We're going to go ahead and mix it up and add a little bit of water to make it a little bit more runny. Now I take a little bit of this mixture and I dab it into the inside of the jug, but I was not happy it didn't look blue. So I added a little bit more and now it was the perfect shade of blue. So I was happy with that color. It does show well in the glass. So I'm going to fill the whole inside of this glass with this blue color. Set it aside to finish draining any excess paint out of the inside of that jar. And I have a fan close by, which is why that paper is blowing, but it's going to help speed up the drying time. So once it dries, this is what it looks like. It's kind of almost clear and it has that blue tinge to it. The rim got a little dirty, but I'm not concerned about that. If it bothers you, you can use some alcohol and rub that off, or some nail polish remover. Now we're going to take this jute twine, also got at the Dollar Tree, and we're going to measure the length of this jar. I think I measured about 5 or 6. So we're going to go ahead and cut 6 pieces of twine that are 5 jar lengths long. Once you have those 6 jute pieces cut, we're going to set them aside and cut another piece of jute. This one has to be long enough to wrap around the top rim of that jar. This second piece of twine I cut is going to be called twine B. So now we're going to take one of the 6 of those jute pieces and we're going to slip knot them around this twine B. So I'm just showing you, you fold it in half to make a loop, and then we're going to take the other 2 loose ends and put them inside the loop wrapped around twine B. essentially creating the slip knot. Now don't make it too tight because you are going to have to adjust them later. So you do the same thing for all 6 pieces around twine B. So this is what it looks like once they're all on there. And you're going to take that twine B string and you're going to knot it around this jar rim. I would advise putting a little tiny bit of hot glue inside of that knot. Now you're going to go and you're going to adjust your pieces so that they're equally spaced apart. Each slip knot has 2 string ends, 2 loose ends. Each slip knot has 2 strings coming out of it. So in order to make this net pattern, we're going to take one of these strings from each of these slip knots and we're going to make a triangle shape. And you're going to connect those 2 pieces with a knot that falls right in the center of those 2 pieces. You're going to take 1 string from each slip knot and make a knot in the middle, creating this triangle shape. And go ahead and do that all around the jar. This is what it should look like once you complete the whole first row. Once that first row is completely covered with that 1 row of knots, we're going to take 2 of these new knots we made. We're going to take one string from each new knot that we just created and make a new knot connecting those 2, making a diamond shape. And we're going to repeat this process until the entire jar is covered with knots. So this is what it looks like. We have about 4 rows of knots. Now you're just going to pull on it and hot glue the loose end at the bottom of the jar. So just rotate the jar and put a little bit of hot glue and hold the string down until it's dried, until the hot glue dries. And now we're going to make a little braid to go around the handle. So I measured about 6 jar lengths, but it's always good to have more than less. So I would do even 8 jar lids. So now we're going to cut 3 pieces that are 6 jar lengths long, and we're going to braid them after we knot it to that end there of that handle. Once that braid is complete, we're going to hot glue it to the handle, and we're almost done. At the bottom there, we still have a little bit of the twine pieces hanging, so I kind of wanted to make something to hang down there. So I just wanted to add a tassel at the bottom. So that's what I did with the same twine. No, I used the same twine to make a tassel for the bottom of the jar. And I hot glued it to the bottom of the jar. So there you have it. That's our jar. Thank you so much, Connie, for your inspiration. Here's your crown. Now this next DIY is inspired by Annie over at Indie Annie Jones. And over at her channel, she made one video with her guest star, I think was Corey, and it was called Let's Get Nautical. And Annie made a wooden anchor she decorated a wooden anchor that she found at Dollar Tree. However, I could not find it, so here I am, just drawing a anchor out of foam board. So you can see that I was just tracing the shapes, and this is not measured at all, and you will see that in a moment. I just went for it. So I used a duct tape to make the circle at the top, and I just used this other straight edge to make the cross feature of the anchor, and I just freehanded the bottom part. Now we're going to cover this entire anchor with popsicle sticks that I dyed in 4 different colors beforehand, so you won't even notice that it's not 100%. As you can see, I took an X-Acto knife and just traced that line that I made to cut out the anchor. Now here I'm using my cutting mat to center it to that square. That way the 2 sides are somewhat straight. So these are the popsicle sticks. After they dried, separated the popsicle sticks into 4 different piles, and I treated one with watered down brown paint, the other one with watered down white paint, the other one with the gray, watered down gray paint, and then the last one, I think I just wanted to make it look distressed, so I used a mixture of the brown watered down paint with gray distressing, not watered down. I hope that makes sense, but you can see that it creates a nice pattern there. So all I did was cut them down with scissors. I have my miter shears there, but for some reason the scissors were easier to cut, so I would advise just using regular scissors. And I just laid them down, as you see here, using hot glue. This did take some time, but it was very relaxing, so I don't mind little jobs like this. Now Annie had already purchased a wooden anchor from the Dollar Tree, so if you happen to find that wooden anchor, you could easily just paint that one, or layer it with these popsicle sticks, but I couldn't find them, so I had to make my own. And I like the fact that the foam core board allows you to make a large anchor. So I had a lot of fun here. So even though this doesn't look a lot like Annie's anchor, she inspired me because she covered hers with scrapbooking paper that was kind of like floral and blue and nautical, but I covered mine with wood sticks. So thank you so much, Annie, for your inspiration, and here's your crown. Now this next DIY is inspired by Corey from Crafted by Corey. Now for DIY number 5, we're going to take these table tennis balls, and it's kind of hard to show you on camera, but it does have a line that runs down the middle there. Maybe you can see that. And we're just going to use our hot glue gun to burn little holes in there. Now be careful because 1, your hot glue gun is hot. 2, your tennis ball is going to make a pop sound the first time you make that hole. So this is a tedious process, but that pop sound is incentive to keep going because I love hearing that little pop sound every time. I don't know. Try it and you'll see what I mean. So you take your hot glue gun and you just poke little holes in there, and to make the holes a little bigger, just finish it up with the sharp tip of that pencil. And I did that for all of these, all 36. So the first 12 I took and I painted it with whatever was left over from DIY number 2, that bluish paint we used in the jars. I went ahead and I covered all of these tennis balls with that same mixture. Now for this other mixture, I'm just using the regular old beige color here. It's called Beach, I think Beach House. I think that's what I said. From DIY number 1 for the distressing on the vase. Same color. And then the last set, we used the gray color Sherwin-Williams Cloverdale that we also used in DIY number 1. Now I'm taking a toothpick and I'm going to hot glue that to the edge of this jute twine. And that's going to serve like a little needle to thread all of these balls onto a string. And yes, we are making a beaded garland. Just jumbo, supersized, because I wanted to. So it was a lot of fun to make and it looks really cool. And the colors are definitely beachy. And the twine, and I'm loving all the vibes this garland is giving me. And I like the fact that it's bigger than wood beads. So Corey over at her channel, Crafted by Corey, she made a beaded garland for her coastal video, and she had these nice wooden beads that came painted already. And the colors were similar to this. So now I'm going to take this little wooden piece I got from Easter. They were like Easter eggs. I had this one left over. So now I'm going to put a C there. No, the C is not for Corey. My last name ends in a C. So then I painted over it with the same mixture that we used, the textured mixture that we used at the bottom of the vase, the dark blue for the ocean waves on DIY number 1. I used the excess leftover paint and I just kind of painted over it, distressed it, the front and the back of it, and then I wiped it off with a paper towel just to give it some, I don't know. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a twine tassel. So I'm going to use my Mod Podge bottle just to help make a big long tassel for this big long garland. So I went ahead and I took that and also some baker's twine that's white and blue. And I'm going to go ahead and make and go around this bottle, I think about 10-15 times. And that is just going to be in our tassel. So once you cut that end off, we're going to go ahead and attach this to the beaded garland. And once you're done with this, that's it, guys. We're basically done. Once you attach this on, you just complete your tassel with another piece of jute twine at the top. We're going to fasten that, add a little bit of hot glue, and that's it. This DIY is done. So thank you so much, Corey, for inspiring me in my YouTube journey. And here's your crown. There it is, guys. We're done. All of these ladies today are linked in the description below. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite. So there you go. That's all of our coastal decor for today. I absolutely love that vase. If you like videos like this one, go ahead and hit that like. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. It lets YouTube know that you like videos like this. If you don't like this video, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. And if you want to see more of what I make in this house, go ahead and subscribe and join the Arrows DIY crew. All right, guys, the time has come. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!